back. I'm on my floor again. And yes, I still have my Christmas blankets on because they're warm. And so, take a slight break from Demon Slayer to review Black Clover, and I have a physical book this time. All of Demon Slayer is on my phone and my Kindle. Black Clover first started being published in 2015 by Yuki Tabata. Basically starts off with, it's very much set in like a European type of country. Like most of the names are like European, like Latin, English inspired type of names. And it's set in Clover Kingdom. Falls around two orphan teen boys who are the same age and who were found at an orphanage at the same time. By the two people who run it are father and sister. We don't learn too much of the religion, but it seems more of like a Catholic type of religion, like you got like the one sister, well, I don't know if you can see that well, but she kind of was like the Catholic nun, and same thing with like the father who runs it. Like, this is a world where like everyone has magic, but the main character Asta doesn't. Where when they turn 15, they go to a local place that holds of the Grimrows. But, you know, like, Asta doesn't get anything. For now, everyone seems to have, like, a very, like, specific type of magic they do. It's all very, like, elemental-based. Yuno has wind magic. Sister Lily, I don't think is named in this one. She uses water magic. One of the kids has, like, who's also in the orphanage has, like, fire magic. And then, when they go and get the Grimrows, gets the 4-leaf Grimrow, because most of them are like 3-leaf clovers, but he gets a 4-leaf one, which is said to be extremely lucky, and like, I don't think anybody's had the 4-leaf clover since the very first Wizard King, like a few centuries ago. He becomes like the talk of the town, of the region, because like no one's ever had the 4-leaf Grimroll before, not in like use, or it's just like so rare that very few people get it, and ends up getting the attention of a former magic knight who uses like chain magic. This is when we find out that Asta, even though he doesn't have magic, he gets a Grimroll that was hiding in a brick wall. Apparently, the one guy, Rafti, he ended up cornering Yuno in a little enclave that was like surrounded by brick walls. What was the Grimroll doing in the brick wall? That was kind of weird. And then Asta pulls out like this giant sword that can like cut through magic. And so even though Asta has no magic, he's been training for years, so he's like, at least compared to a lot of mages, like a lot like physically stronger and everything. So he ends up like defeating Rafti, and we get Yuno's and Ashta's backstory. Yuno's kind of like is sort of like the typical like rival character, like kind of like Sasuke, where he's very like serious, doesn't show like his emotions that much, and he's also very like gifted at magic, and he's only like 15 when the story starts, so he's only like very like extremely talented at using wind magic. And then Ashta's like the typical like main character where he's very like skilled at using magic. He has no magic, but then through a bunch of hard work he becomes one of like the best warriors ever and everything. After this, because like nobody really knows anything about this Grimroll, it's a 5-leaf Grimroll, where instead of like apparently like bad luck like the 4-leaf one does, this one is apparently inhabited by a demon. They say like we don't get anything of the demon in this one, so like we get kind of like an outline of it. Asta starts using the magic, like that's all we get of like what might be inside the Grimroll, but we don't actually like see or hear anything of the demon in this one. A few months later, like they kind of like expand on this in the anime a little bit, where two of them are like training for the Magic Knight's entrance exam. So the Magic Knights are like the kingdom's protection, basically like the knights, so they maybe not in like the typical sense we might think of knights. Many of them are nobles who own land, but not all of them seem to own any like property. I think that's how knights were like in like the medieval period, where they had land and property in a house, where most of the knights, there's several of them, they all seem to have like one big home base, And then you get up the other nobles who own their own land. They end up going to the Magic Knight entrance exam, where basically it's like a series of tests, lying on a broom, being able to like create stuff out of your magic, how good is like your aim and everything. And then after that it's like a battle where everyone, it doesn't have like various like rounds, it's mostly just people like partner up with one person and then they fight, and then once all of those fights are done they get judged. And so this is also before the exam, like the first introduction of the Black Bulls captain Yami Sugihiro, who's a tough captain and everything. And so then we also get introduced to like two other members of the Black Bulls, Inral, who uses like spatial magic so he can like open up a portal and like anywhere he's been and like step through it. And then Golden Agrippa, who just like mumbles everything, and I think it's like he uses like curse magic, they call it, the incantation magic expert. And then Fenrol is just the ladies man and everything. They end up fighting, defeats his opponent in like 10 seconds. Guy barely had any time to respond or anything. And then Asta goes and fight his opponent, Sake, who I've seen much the first couple of arcs in the anime. Sake is kind of becomes like a slightly reoccurring character who uses like bronze magic, and then they fight. Sake is like super like overconfident. He thinks that if he beats on Asta, who most people think is just kind of like a weak guy because he has no magic, the anti-magic birds that are in this place, like they all became attracted to him. So he figures that if he can beat Asta, then look better than him, then he might get like a good spot in one of the squads. But then Asta just like defeats him within seconds with his sword. Most of the captains, like they all sense something's like different about him. They sense that he has like no magic, and they're all like pretty like confused by him. Yami takes him in anyway into the Black Bulls, and when they get to like the Black Bull side out, they're basically like the typical like the group in manga. They're like somewhat similar to like the Fairy Tail Guild and Fairy Tail, just a bunch of like riffraff. They are often said to be like super destructive. All of them are like, the most part, kind of like typical, like you see like all the time in like manga. Fenrol's the ladies man. Magna is like the tough, hard-headed member of the group. Locke is the kid who always likes to fight everyone, no matter what. Gray is just like this super quiet guy who like never speaks. Vanessa's like the super like hot witch who likes to drink, and like Sami's like this huge eater. And then we end up meeting like Noelle Silva, who's the youngest sister of the Silver Eagles captain. She just gonna be like one of the other main characters, and so you find out that it seems like he just kind of like threw her into the Black Bulls because he didn't want to like deal with her, because they all blame her for the death of their mother. Ended up dying not long after she was born, so they all figure it was like complications from childbirth. Basically, like all of the nobles have like tormented her for years because she barely has any control over magic. She uses like water magic like Sister Lily, and she really doesn't want to like be there. But then after Asta sees her trying to like practice magic, and her magic goes out of control, Black Bulls like they take her in anyway, and like Vanessa like offers her to help her control her magic and everything. And then like after this, it kind of like starts heading into the first arc in this series. And my cat's in my lap. Yeah. And so like it starts off into the Saucy Village arc. They end up heading there on the behalf of the mayor, who I think it Yami and Magna know. And so just to like defeat some bulls that are outside their village, and then they leave, defeat them, and then they start heading back to the village, which is covered in like mist. And so they had their Asta manages to like cut through the mist, and they find that like a group of mages have like taken over the village, killed the mayor, are about to kill like everyone in the village. Magna ends up using his fire magic to destroy the ice that the main guy was about to use and try and like protect everyone. Asta and Magna are fighting. Noelle, she tries to throw like a water ball at them, but it misses. They almost are like trying to like protect her as well because she can't really fight. But then a little girl kind of like grabs her and like backs her to help them, and then it kind of like inspires her in a way to like gain a new spell, because in like it's just like in times of like great emotion, the Grimrose gain like new spells. She gains a new powerful defensive spell called Water Creation Magic Sea Dragon Slayer. And so she ends up, at least for now, becoming like the Black Bull's like defensive mage, so that she can protect the townspeople while like Magna and Asta fight. It's like pretty easy to get into. It's not in the beginning like awfully complicated or anything. Like the magic system seems pretty easy and everything. For the most part, the characters, at least in the beginning, are like all of them are like established in such a way where you kind of like know who they're probably gonna be for the series and everything. Like, even though we don't see the people at the church, I thought they were pretty good. Like, they're expanded on in the anime, definitely. And I think they do say their names in the anime, where in the manga they don't, I don't think. At least not for a while. And so, fight scenes are pretty fun, the few that we see. Yeah. I do enjoy his art style. Like, I feel like it's, like, I do think he's a really good artist. Like, they're like specific. Goody. Yes. He does get like pretty detailed. Like, this after they defeat that sane magic guy. This of the Grimrose. And like, I do think like one of his strong points is like his art. For the most part, like, compared to some like other series, except for like Vanessa, none of the women right now like so like overly sexualized. Like for now, like Noelle, she's in a short skirt and like a slightly low cut top, but nothing like extremely distracting like stuff like in One Piece. Like so like, if you know anything about like One Piece, you know what I'm talking about. Like, with Vanessa's character, it makes sense because she's like the super hot, like flirty witch. Like, so far, like I think that for the most part the character designs are like pretty good. Like, none of them are like, all that bad or anything. Like, all of the characters have like very like different appearances. You can like easily tell them apart and everything going into it, because you sometimes have this problem reading like comic books and manga and like cartoons of like characters looking so similar, but like I feel like between like all of like the clothing and the hairstyles, like a few other differences, I could easily like tell apart the characters. Like, I can okay, that's Noelle, that's Vanessa, that's Asta, you know, and everything. Like, there's probably like a couple of characters who look extremely similar, but I wasn't getting like extremely confused trying to like tell them apart. Book really starts to like pick up towards the end with Attack on Sausage Village, where you get kind of like the first big plot of like, who are these guys, what's going on. As up until this point, it's mostly just like introduction, like introducing us to the world, and then now it's like throwing us into the plot and everything. I like Noelle's character. I think she's pretty good. Like, you can tell like what her whole arc is gonna be of her getting like more confidence in herself, getting control of her magic, because she has a whole bunch of, she's like a very like powerful mage, but because of like all of her like anxiety and everything, she's not very good at like concealing her magic. It's almost like an endless loop type of thing, where I can't remember the name right now, but it's like everyone makes fun of her for her lack of control, and her anxiety about her lack of control just makes her lose even more control of her magic, if that makes sense. I like the fact that like, even though she's kind of like realizes that they don't mind that she can't control her magic, she still is kind of like acts more like, she still acts like a noble, like she still like, Noelle doesn't do like a complete like 180. She still has like these associated with nobles that like she hasn't completely given up yet just because the Black Bulls have accepted her, but she's still more than willing to like protect people. I do really like Noelle. Now that I'm about to end the video, my cat decided to get off my lap. Of course. I'm also kind of wondering why that grimoire was in the wall. Because it's like... Here, let me find it. I'm very glad I have an actual like book this time to show you guys. But like, when they're fighting, that grimoire comes out of the wall, like pushes the brick out of it and comes to Asta. And like, what was it doing in the wall? Like, yeah, there you go. Because, like, who put it there? And why? Because, like, even the guy who was, like, head of the grimoire place was, like, really confused about it. I don't know if the specific scenes in here, but I remember in the anime, that guy was, like, he knew what it was. But I think in the anime, it's just like kind of like appeared out of nowhere, and then in the manga, it's like inside of a brick wall, and like did they put the grimoire in the wall to try and hide it? And I vaguely know what happens in this series, just because I came into it like pretty late. Like by the time I came to it, it was already doing the the invasion arc. Like I think by the time I came to it, the elf reincarnation arc was already ending, and it was down in like the next arc, so like I vaguely know what happens, just because like a lot of people were like talking about it, but like I don't know like all of the details. But like, why did they put the grimoire in the wall? Like I'm watching it from the beginning, I'm reading it from the beginning, so I haven't gotten that far in the series yet, so like I don't know why they figured the wall was the best place for a grimoire. I have no idea. But I do rather like enjoy like Black Clover. I think it's rather at least entertaining. Like I think it's a good starting point for like readers who maybe aren't big into or maybe don't know that much about shonen manga. Like compared to some other series like all of my mangas on the shelf in front of me. Like One Piece is over like 1,000 chapters long, I think. Fairy Tail has like 63 volumes or something. Bleach is pretty long, like all of like the big name manga are like so long. Well, I think Black Clover only has 30 volumes so far, so like half the size of Fairy Tail. So I think it's like a good like entry point, kind of like Demon Slayer, like new manga readers. But yeah, I think that's everything. Peace.